minutes. And that just kind of lets the storyteller know you got about 30 seconds to wrap things up because you've delighted us long enough. And it's time for someone else to have the chance to delight the audience. So that's kind of the structure of what we'll do. We're going to tell you 3 stories. We'll take about an 8-minute break, tell you 3 more stories, an 8-minute break, and then 3 more stories. So know that you've got those bathroom breaks and you've got the drink and refill breaks in there. So if you can kind of, as someone's saying, hold your seats there until we get to the break. When I was moving to Belfast for grad school, I asked a friend in Nashville who lived in Belfast, who should I meet when I go there? And he gave me 3 different names. I reached out to all 3 of them, and one person said, "Oh, I'll be happy to meet you sometime when you're here." Second person said, "Let's put a coffee down for the week that you're in town. Let's actually put something on the calendar." The third person was a guy named Padre Gotuma, and he said, "Is anyone picking you up from the airport?" And I said, "No, of course, I don't know anyone." So Padre Gotuma picked me up from the airport, the very first person that I met in Belfast, in Ireland. And on the drive into Belfast, I said, "Can I pay you back for the gas?" And he said, "No, don't worry about it. What I would love for you to do is payback is come to this storytelling event that I run called 10 by 9 with my partner Paul." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds great." So I went to 10 by 9 every month that I lived in Belfast until I left, and I said, "This is amazing. Can I do this in Nashville?" And they said, "Well, it doesn't exist anywhere else, but might as well see what happens." So I started it in September of 2013, and we have had a storytelling event every single month since September of 2013. On Monday, we did our 75th consecutive monthly event in Nashville. Yes, thank you very much for that. Just to give you a sense of what you can do with this, in the last 6.5 years, we've had over 320 unique storytellers who have told us 720 stories on stage. We've had about 7,000 people in the audience over the last 6 years. So, and we started just like this. We had about 40 people at our first event. I'm seeing about 30, 35, so right at the same place. And we average now anywhere from 90 to 120 a month. So just to say, you can kind of take hold of this if you want and let 10 by 9 grow here in Selma and see what comes of it. It'd be really exciting. A couple of other things. We have a whole range of stories at 10 by 9. So one of the things we say is we're not a professional storytelling night. We're not trying to be. We like to be a place for the nervous and the unsure, for those people who have never told stories to have a place that they feel like they can do that. And that we're not a night of comedy either. And we've talked a bit about this Selma truth and reconciliation thing, but it's important to know 10 by 9's agenda is not truth and reconciliation. We're not trying to have specific conversations. We just want to have good storytelling, real people telling real stories. So you're going to hear a whole range. You're not about to hear a whole bunch of stories about truth and reconciliation tonight. So it's just to kind of clarify that a little bit. We have stories at 10 by 9 that range all the way from the joy of a first proposal to a new spouse to the day when the wedding and the marriage ended to divorce. A whole range of things. At 10 by 9 in Nashville, at the 4th ever 10 by 9, the theme was the first time, and I had a 65-year-old man get up on stage, and he came out as a gay man on stage at 10 by 9. So you also get that sort of thing. And I also had my 82-year-old grandmother tell her Me Too story on stage. So we do amazing things, like things my parents never told me, was one of my favorite themes. And then soon after that, we did things I never told my parents, which was, yes, I see some energy already building, some great, and that's when my grandmother told her Me Too story, for things I never told my parents, right? I mean, so we had a whole range of stuff. You could be really funny, you could be really sad, really sincere. Any given night at 10 by 9, you have stories that'll break your heart and stories that'll put it back together. And so there's an Irish proverb that we say gives us a sense of meaning at 10 by 9. In Irish, it goes, Er ska a chéile a wardas nadina, which is translated, it is in the shelter of each other that the people live. It is in the shelter of each other that the people live. That's what we hope that storytelling is for everyone, is that it's a sense of shelter in the world in which we live. So I think that's all I really want to tell you. Oh, just a couple of quick things then. At 10 by 9, we say we're neither prudes nor crudes. Neither prudes nor crudes. So we are not interested in storytellers overly sanitizing their stories, and we're also not interested in them being intentionally and unnecessarily offensive. So we're asking people to walk the line of holding the truth about yourself with providing a welcoming space for everybody in the room. That being said, you may hear a story here that you're like, oh, didn't like that. Just remember, after 10 minutes, it'll be done. Right? And we'll be moving right along. So you just have to bear it for 10 minutes if you don't happen to like the story. We're not affiliated with any institutions or religious structures, so we're not a Selma Center event. 10 by 9 is an independent event that is partnering with Selma. So if it comes to Selma as an official chapter, just know it's an independent community storytelling thing. It's not a Christian event, it's not a church event, it's nothing like that. There's no agenda to it except for real people to tell each other real stories. Everyone good? Yeah. Great. All right, I'm very excited. So the way we're going to introduce one another, we're going to tell you the first three. We're going to do the first three stories now, and Summer and I are going to be kind of going back and forth introducing the storytellers. So we're going to say their name, and then the question that we asked each person to respond to was, "What music are you currently in love with right now?" So we'll give you their answer to that question as the way to introduce. So the first person is a gentleman you know as Mr. John Pettaway. And when asked about what music he was currently into or what he was currently singing, he said he's doing a lot of spiritual songs because he's a deacon of the church, and so he likes to stay in that spiritual field. So before, it's actually going to be kind of fun, before he starts telling you a story, he actually wanted to sing one of those songs for you. So he's going to come up here and do a little quick solo, just give you one song, and then he's going to start telling you a story, okay? So let's welcome Mr. Pettaway to the stage.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is the light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. Yes! This is the light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. This is the light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Wow. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. I'm not gonna make it shine. I'm just gonna let it shine. No, I'm not gonna make it shine. I'm just gonna let it shine. I'm not gonna make it shine. Just gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. I ain't through. Shine, shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah. Shine, shine, shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Shine, shine, shine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. I'm John B. Pettaway, and we'll make it a little short. I'm going to tell you my story. The part of my story is a country boy came to town. Country boy came to town. When I was young, I came to town, and I got a job at Hill Super, and it was sacking groceries. Portable, and so with the job I had, a country boy come to town. So I went to work, and all the young guys from sacking groceries, you had table 1, 2, 3, I think about 4 kinds. So I would sack groceries and take them out to the car for the customer. That's the old time. That's the way you used to do it. We do it a little bit now, but you had to do it on your own. But anyway, and began my sacking the groceries. Being a country boy, I go and get groceries at a time, and then when I come back in, I was working kind of one maybe. And when I come back in, it's a certain lady would come in. She would do high tip, do real good tip. So I I come back in and I'm on kind of one. I come in, somebody had my car. Oh, country boy. I said, well, you got it. I get the next one. So that way it went on for a couple of weeks. So finally, the lady told me, say, you see that lady there? I said, yeah. She tips real high. She's going to give you $1 each time. You don't care about a bag of peanuts because she didn't give you $1. So then shortly after then, I went to Sacking Groceries. She come up in my line. Oh. So then I went out to Carol. The groceries before her, the person before her, I went to Carol. Then when I come back in, somebody had jumped in my line. The country boy had woke up. So I said, buddy, get over to your car. This is mine. So she came on, and when she went out, she gave me that crystal dollar. It's the first time I got that big dollar. I looked at it real new. Woo! The country boy came to town. Just after coming to town, I was working in that store. This is a serious matter. I was working in the store, so we had a little heater in the back. The heater in the back would cook on it. But that was one of the old-fashioned heaters. So it had a little cord to run to the heater. So it slipped off. And so when it slipped off, I went back there. I said, country boy. I said, they told me this is a gas heater. This ain't no gas. This was what is it? The devil said, how you say it's a gas? I said, well, it's a box of matches. Think about it, y'all. There's a box of matches on the ship. I said, well, the gas is loose. I ain't got no way to cut it off. So I got the box, brand new box of matches. So I went there. I did it. The head cut off the match. I said, well, then I got it. The head cut off it. I said, these old matches white. I put it back up and said, the guy who worked in the front there, cooking back, called him Blue. He came back. Oh, goodness of life, this cat. It's all over the place. Ooh, no. I hope nobody don't scratch them matches. So I go back to the front. I don't woke up, the Lord and rest him. So I go back to the front, cycle through grocery. But I didn't want to know it, the Lord said me. I really wanted to know. So I go back and go out that same box of matches and went to the back door. And I went out the door a little piece. And I thought about it, said that gas, and I said, this ain't far enough, I better go a little further. So I went on down the alley, and every match I hit is struck. Every one I hit. So that's the nature of my story. I don't care where I go. I know that if the Lord wants to save you, He can do it. And then He saved me at an old age. And I done lived to get 90 years old.
Okay, our second storyteller is my awesome little sister, almost 30.
But you're gonna read the back though. To answer the question.
So when asked the question, what music is she in love with at this moment? She said, sir. Why? She likes mellow music, something relaxing. And the reason why she loves this music and this artist is because he lives in the moment.
Here's on. You need to scroll down a little bit.
Okay, so I'm not seasoned or anything. I don't add it much salt. I know y'all got some seasoning. But my story is about my first time playing basketball. it was an experience. I'll say that. So if you know me, you know I love sports. I'll get down on the court. I'll say that. But my first time playing, it wasn't what it needed to be. So it started out that morning. My mom, she wasn't paying me any attention. I was ready. I talked to my brother. He was ready. We was all ready. He was prepared. He was more prepared than I was. So I talked to him. He was like, "Oh, I'm ready to play," because he was playing too that day. He was like, "I'm gonna be a showstopper." So I told him, I was like, "I'm gonna be a showstopper too." I'm like,